Transportation System, Monday at 6.
Welcome to This Week in Kansas with your host, Tim Brown.
Hello and welcome to This Week in Kansas. Thank you for being with us this morning. The Kansas Speak survey is out again, and the results, as always, are fascinating. The economy, guns, taxes, schools, health care, those are all among the topics people were asked about. Some of the results will likely surprise you. Others will simply have you nodding your head saying, I told you so. Let's get right to the study and the methodology first and then dive into the results with our guests this morning, Chapman Rackaway and Brad Pendergast. And I added the I told you so part because I'm always interested when I see this because I think, I think that's the way Kansas people are feeling on some of these things. And I'm right on some of them, but I'm wrong on others, I will admit. But interesting study, fascinating as always. And we're here at a different time this year.
That's exactly right. This is part of a supplemental Kansas Speak survey that's been done by the Docking Institute of Public Affairs at Fort Hays State University, which I'm very fortunate to be a senior policy fellow. And I get to do a lot of things with the Docking Institute. The Kansas Speak survey is one of those that I'm really fortunate to be part of. And we brought along Brad Pendergast, who's our survey center director, who will help. He really kind of guided this survey through its process, and he'll talk about the nuts and bolts of it, and I can talk about some of the larger implications and what that means for us here in Kansas.
Brett, I guess my first question would be, why the supplemental survey this time?
Well, we decided to do the supplemental survey because we saw that there were a lot of issues that were coming up in the Kansas legislature, a lot of, very polarizing issues, you could say. And we just kind of sat down one day and we were just like, hey, I think it's a good time to do a Kansas Speak. So we kind of just got everything together and I got all the surveyors going and we started this Kansas Speaks.
Well, my hat's off to you guys on this one because, actually on all of them, but first of all, you're responsive, and I think that's pretty neat when you see something like this, that you guys can operate quickly and put something together and get it out there. But the second thing is that I always find so fascinating about this, and again, I think why we kind of owe you a little bit of a debt of gratitude on this. This is one of those few times where I think you really get a large-scale snapshot of the state of Kansas, what people are thinking on all of these big issues. And we can look at our lawmakers, we can see what they say, we can look at ads on TV and in the newspapers when big issues come up in the legislature, but those always have something behind them, and this is truly what people think.
Yeah. And it's very consistent with what the Docking Institute's mission has always been, which is kind of to be the think tank of Western Kansas. And similar institutes at other higher education institutions across the country have had different surveys like this. So this is a great opportunity for us to really dig in and say, just kind of like what you were saying, we can speculate and we think that we can read the tea leaves, kind of take the pulse, if I can torture a couple of analogies here, of what the public is thinking. But let's actually do it, and the Docking Institute is well suited to be able to give us that information.
And this isn't easy to do. I think a lot of people realize or will think when they see something like this that, they just come up with a list of questions, call a few people and ask their opinions. For this to be statistically sound and valid, there's a lot of work behind the scenes.
That's exactly right, and there's a lot of work on a number of levels. You've got to make sure that you've got a sample of people. We can't, as much as we'd love to, go to all the couple of million Kansans that are out there and get a perfect measure. So you have to get a sample that kind of represents the larger views of the state of Kansas. We're very careful about scientifically making sure that we get regions represented, and gender and different ethnicities covered, different educational backgrounds and so on, so that it does kind of present that snapshot of Kansas. And then we have to really pay careful attention to the questions, because you never want to bias a question. You never want to load the wording one way or another and encourage people to go in one way or another. There's easy ways for very subtle bias to enter into a question. So we end up taking a lot of time and sending a lot of emails back and forth, having a few meetings.
I can imagine.
Really painstakingly getting that wording right.
And Brad, I want you to jump in on this one, because you see a lot of the political polling that happens that oftentimes you can tell the questions are very leading. Mm-hmm. They want you to go one way or another.
Yes.
When you guys write these questions, I imagine it's a painstaking process. You probably write something, then you bat it around for a while and everybody looks at it, and you may have a totally different question by the end.
Yes, and when you're writing a question, you kind of have to look through the eyes of other people, and you kind of have to look, okay, you know, what about this question, you know, might influence some sort of bias, and you know, that's a very painstaking process of just the talking back and forth and trying to get everything worked out. But generally, I think that we get it right, and you know, this survey I think comes out and it's very good, very non-biased, and very neutral.
Before we get too deep into this, people can actually see the survey themselves if they go online. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. The Docking Institute Public Affairs website at FHSU's website, and we make all of the Kansas Speaks reports available there, so people can see it straight away.
Yeah, if you go to one page, you can download the PDFs for them, and it's interesting because then you can kind of look back in years. I was very curious about this, and you can see some changes in the way people think and progression, or you know, it's interesting to see how maybe the state has changed a bit over the years.
Without a doubt. In fact, one of the great things that we have is now that we've got a couple of years of Kansas Speaks data, and we can go back to 2009 when you've had me on and we've talked about elections.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been fairly confident in saying that the Kansas electorate has moved to the right. Why am I doing that? It wasn't just reading the tea leaves. I was using our docking data, and we certainly saw evidence of that. So it's created a great kind of long-term view that is provided for us.
We're going to take a break here in just a minute, and then we'll get into the details of the survey and what people said. But before we get into that break, is there any one thing with this survey that just knocked your socks off this year?
For me, and maybe it was because I was particularly paying attention to it, I'm going to say that it was the marijuana issue.
Yeah.
Obviously of hot button importance here in the city of Wichita, but I think it sends a signal about where we might see future policy directions here in the state of Kansas. That's my big takeaway.
Brad,
I don't know
anything
if Brad will say the
jumped out
same
with
thing.
you?
though.
The big takeaway that I had was the constitutional conceal and carry.
That's the one that kind of hit me.
Yeah,
too,
I
so.
mean, 75 opposed, 25 in favor was, I felt like majority of Kansans would be opposed to it, but I didn't think that it would be such a large margin.
Okay, we don't want to get too deep into those because I really want to kind of go through this piece by piece. Let's take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll just start hitting these in order, and I think you'll be fascinated. We'll be right back.
You gotta top the charts to make it here. The Billboard Music Awards. With performances by Britney Spears, Iggy Azalea, Meghan Trainor, John Legend, Sam Smith, and Ed Sheeran. Incredible. Live Sunday, May 17th, only on ABC.
Over the past 12 years, along with our partners, we've presented the Golden Apple Award to more than 400 teachers. You can help us carry on the Golden Apple tradition this school year. Nominate an outstanding teacher at cake.com.
If you like quality and selection, you'll love Yoder's Ornamental Concrete in Burton with the best selection of fountains, bird baths, planters, benches, yard lights, animals, and figurines. You're sure to find the right piece for the right spot at your home or office. Since 1984, the Yoder family has been committed in making the finest of quality statuary, the largest statuary outlet in Kansas, located on Highway 50 in Burton, Kansas. That's Yoder's Ornamental Concrete.
And welcome back. We're talking about the Kansas Speaks survey from the Docking Institute of Public Affairs at Fort Hays State University. Always interesting stuff. We have a couple of guests here that did this. You guys put this together. You have Gary Brinker over here watching too, who always helps with the thing. And it's you guys, again, hats off to you. I really am impressed with this survey, and I'm glad you do it because it's interesting stuff. Let's jump right in because I don't want to waste too much more time of me talking. And we'll go to our graphs, and let's hit the first one, and we'll just talk about these.
Okay. Brad, this is your big
this is,
takeaway, so why don't you talk a little bit more about it?
You know, this is the constitutional carry question. You know, do you favor or oppose allowing legal gun owners in Kansas to carry concealed weapons in public without a license or certification or formal training? And, you know, 75% opposed, which I thought was a very large margin. Yep. And, you know, there was some criticism of the wording of this question, the Wichita Eagle, I believe it was Couture Lovelady who mentioned this question was biased. And, you know, I mean, you can look at the question. I don't think it's that much too biased at all. And, you know, come July 1, you know, individuals won't have any training. You know, they won't have that formal training. You know, you turn 21 years old, you can go and get a gun, and then you can just conceal and carry it wherever you want. And it's just...
And this is one we talked about on the show quite a bit, and I've made no bones about how I feel about this. I think it's a horrible idea, quite frankly. I'm not opposed to people owning firearms. I'm really not, but I do think it's a huge responsibility, and you need to be trained. Not only how to use a firearm safely. You know, we've had a couple of tragedies here in Wichita just recently, and I have no idea if those people were legal owners or not. I'm not casting everybody in the same group, but you have to be careful, and I just, you know, that's one that I think the majority of Kansans see that as kind of a common sense thing. But I also think it shows the power of the NRA and the Kansas Rifle Association and their ability to work lawmakers, quite frankly.
And also, it's important to kind of put it in the context of saying, as a number of critics had said throughout this process as SB 45 was being debated, this is kind of a solution in search of a problem. Yeah. And clearly the voters of the state of Kansas and the respondents in Kansas Speaks have said this is not something that there's this overwhelming demand for among the public. In fact, there's a mandate going the other way. And yeah. I'll reinforce what Brad was saying. You know, we thought that it was important. What made SB 45 different was the removal of the permit and the training process. And so we were criticized for biasing that. As a matter of fact, we needed to make that statement the way that it was to differentiate so that people would understand that SB 45 and this new law would change the process of permitting specifically. So we would have biased it in a different way had we not included that.
Because prior to SB 45, if you wanted to carry a gun, you can. You just have to go through the process.
Yeah.
And Kansas does have open carry right now as well, which
exactly,
you know, anybody can carry it on their hip if they want to. I've seen it a few
One
times.
of the things that I would compare it to, you know, is you know, when you get a vehicle, you have to get a license. And, you know, a vehicle, you know, that takes a lot of responsibility. I mean, when you're 16 years old and you get in a car, you know, it scares the heck out of you.
I've got 2 kids that I signed up for driver's ed just this week, and I'm terrified, quite frankly.
Yeah. So, and I mean, with a gun, you need that training. You need to learn to respect the firearm and, you know, properly know how to stand and how to shoot it. Yep. And, you know, when you don't have that kind of training, you know, that just goes to the wayside, and it can be very dangerous.
I'm with you on that one. Let's get to our second one. We've got 14 slides in total, so we want to make sure we hit as many of these as we can. This deals with the economy. How concerned are you that the Kansas economy will seriously threaten you or your family's, whoops, we went one beyond. There we go. You or your family's welfare in the coming year.
And you can see that 70% of the respondents were either moderately or very concerned. Obviously, the Kansas economy has been the subject not just of statewide, but national news and sometimes of national criticism. So obviously, it's first and foremost in people's minds. But we've been concerned with the state of the Kansas economy for the length of us having been doing this survey. So this doesn't represent a significant change, but it's just the thought that it's first and foremost in people's minds. They want to get some kind of stable solution in place. That much is clear.
Well, again, I think this is a message to lawmakers that the economy is really key, and that's what's on people's minds. And some of these other bills and things that they struggle over that some folks see as possibly being kind of silly, and we talk about on the show occasionally. Let's focus on the economy. This is what matters to people. Should we go to our third one?
Yeah.
Do you favor or oppose the new school funding bill? Interesting one.
Yeah. And we boiled the language down a little bit on that because the new school funding bill is the so-called block grant bill. But you can see that the biggest issue here is the don't know at 22%. We're talking about complex issues, and one of the things you do in designing a survey is trying to make it as clear as possible. There's only so far you can go. There's a lot of confusion out there, and I think that's why we saw so many people responding don't know.
But Brad, I thought it was interesting that you only see 30% favor.
Yes, and that 22% don't know, but I mean still we have 49% that are opposed. So I mean those don't knows, I think once they get a little more educated on the issue, they'll probably fall. They'll fall one or the other, and I'm guessing that 49% will be over 50%.
Yeah. Very interesting. Let's go to our fourth slide, if we can, please. Do you believe that the suitable level of funding for public education should be ultimately determined by the courts or the legislature? Again, a good question, because this is something that the legislature, and this is a little interesting, I think, to see the response on this one, because the courts obviously have had a pretty big impact on this over the years.
And this should be some good news to the legislature. We've talked about this disconnect between what the public is saying and what the legislature has been doing. Well, the legislature has been saying since the Montoy decision back in 2005 that the courts are unreasonably meddling in the work of the legislature, and this is a place where the legislature's rhetoric and the public's response seem to be linked up, because a majority says that it should be the legislature determining what that suitable level of funding is.
And in reality, the court is asking the legislature to do that, but the court is also kind of setting a judgment of what the answer
That's
is
it.
that they come back with.
Yeah, and whether the courts are outside the realm of their responsibility, that's a story for another time. That word suitable is the big issue in the state constitution. The courts have the right to determine the Constitution, so both of them are acting pretty reasonably within their own boundaries, but the public believes that the courts should, for the most part, step out and let the legislature make that determination about what is suitable.
All right, let's take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion on Kansas Speaks. We'll be back in a minute.
The sun is out and it's time to play. Don't let that old car spoil your day. Bring it to Super Car Guys right away. Whether it's an old sled you drug out of the shed or the belle of the ball, we need cars and we're paying top dollar for any old trade, even if you owe more than it's worth. You'll have a ball, even if you're balling on a budget. Super Car Guys with 3 Wichita locations.
Buying a car doesn't have to suck.
Hurry, free installation from Renewal by Anderson ends this month.
We promise a better product, hassle-free experience, and the ultimate value. We make it simple and easy from start to finish.
Now's your last chance to call and set an appointment to receive free installation and pay nothing for 1 year. With savings like this, you can afford the best.
Don't wait. Free installation absolutely ends this month. Call today.
Renewal by Anderson. We love our new windows.
And welcome back. We'll continue our discussion about Kansas Speaks, and we're just going to jump right into the next slide and see what we have in store to talk about. Let's see the next one. Okay, what would be your preference for filling the budget deficit? That's a challenging one.
And of course, it's a shortfall. People would say we can't end the fiscal year with a deficit, but we've got this gap, and what do we do with it?
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like most Kansans, are kind of, being reasonable, thinking that both, if you need to close a shortfall, you need to do increase and both decrease. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide.
Not terribly surprising on that one, I suppose. Which of these 3 would you favor cutting state spending?
So then those that, signified both or just cutting spending, 55% showing roads and highways, that's kind of been a common practice anyways for the Kansas legislature.
The Bank of KDOT philosophy back in full effect here. And of course, public education down at 17%. I think that's the big takeaway there, is that people do not, they want public education held as harmless as possible in this.
And we've heard that from lawmakers time and time again. Absolutely. Now, whether or not that they actually do that, that's another thing, but that is kind of a mantra. Let's go to our next one.
So then this would be both, so if they answered both, or if they mentioned that we should increase revenue. So sales tax, that seems to be right on par with what the legislator and Brownback are trying to do. And then, we got the property tax there, and then income tax definitely being the lowest that people want to see increased.
This one is interesting to me, Chapman, too, because, we've talked about the consumption taxes on the show, and actually the sales tax last week when we had Kelly Arnold on. He mentioned that that is certainly something that they're considering, the sales tax, and he mentioned a gasoline tax as well. And of course, the governor's talked about increasing taxes on the vice. Vices.
Cigarettes, alcohol, and so on.
So that's interesting, and of course property tax, I'm surprised that's as high as it is.
So was I. Property tax is consistently the least popular of all taxes, but it does tell you that income tax number being the smallest means that there is some support for this gradual reduction in income taxes. It's just clearly people want some kind of compensatory revenue to come in. Otherwise, you wouldn't see 2/3 of respondents saying that they favored a sales tax. We can argue about the regressivity issue and whether sales tax is the appropriate way to do it, but clearly, if the legislature is going to try for some kind of revenue increase and they want to follow the public, sales tax seems to be a way to go.
Well, I think the magic to sales tax for the people of Kansas too, it's a pay-as-you-go.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get nailed at the end of the year. You're always paying it as you pay out, and maybe it has a little bit less of an impact, or at least it feels like it doesn't have less of an impact, but maybe it feels like it has a little less of an impact on you.
Yeah, it's one of those invisible taxes. You pay it in little drips and drabs. You don't get the big hit quarterly or on April 15th that you would for income taxes, or at the end of the year for a property tax. It also allows people to kind of think that it defers to other folks. So you don't see how much of it you pay in, but of course, it does have that disproportionate impact on people at the lower end of the economic spectrum, which is why so many people strongly criticize it and want to go back to more of an income tax model.
And you make a good point. You don't see how much you pay in, because most people don't sit down and figure out how much sales tax they paid over the year.
That's exactly right.
I certainly don't, but I can tell you how much state income tax I paid. That's on my check. Let's go with the next slide.
All of our brains.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go with the next slide.
It was maybe a little too soon on that one, Tim.
Yeah, apparently so. Okay, in general, do you believe that taxes on the following groups should be increased, remain the same, or decreased? And this is, again, I think quite interesting.
Yeah, and very consistent with what we've seen in previous Kansas Speaks, where if there are going to be tax increases, they want them on top income earners, they want them on large corporations. They believe if you're earning a lot of money, that you should pay that proportionately in taxes.
Well, in the small business information, Brad, maybe that's kind of goes in line with what the governor's been saying with decreasing or eliminating taxes on certain small business owners.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Kansans are in agreement with Brownback on that, and not taxing these small businesses as much as they have been, and
interesting. Want to hit the next one before we take another commercial break? Do you favor or oppose increasing taxes on cigarettes and alcohol? Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the sin tax one, and it seems, most Kansans are in favor of increasing both taxes on alcohol and cigarettes. Whether or how much revenue that would actually generate is, to be determined, but...
Well, and I think this one is an easy one, too, because, if you're buying your cigarettes or your booze and you think, maybe you kind of deserve it, and I'm not making that judgment. But I think the reality, and Brad, you kind of, I think, alluded to this, is people just drink less, they'll smoke less, or they'll go to Oklahoma, or they'll go to Missouri, and get a better deal and come back with a trunk full of cigarettes and booze.
Yeah, I mean, with Kansas City right there on the Missouri border, all those people could just jump across the border and get
all the Missouri liquor store owners are.
They're probably salivating over that one. I'd love to see data on how often that actually happens. How many people do that, and do they just make their individual decisions, or as Brad was alluding to, do people engage in this kind of black market behavior where I come back with a trunk full of cigarettes?
And I'm curious about that too. I don't smoke, so I don't really have much firsthand knowledge about this. But I, living in the south central part of the part of the state, and I do travel south quite often, and you see the smoke shops that are set up right across the border. And a lot of them are tribal smoke shops, and they have an even bigger break because they don't have to pay the same taxes. So it's an interesting thing to see, and I would imagine their business would boom too. Let's take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll finish up our slides, and more good stuff to come. We'll be right back.
You gotta top the charts to make it here. The Billboard Music Awards. With performances by Britney Spears, Iggy Azalea, Meghan Trainor, John Legend, Sam Smith, and Ed Sheeran. Incredible. Live Sunday, May 17th, only on ABC.
Okay, we know what you want.
You want the news.
Local news.
Breaking news.
You want your weather.
Take first alert weather.
News from overnight. And you're in luck.
Because your best mornings start right here.
With Good Morning Kansas and
Good Morning America.
Hail sale. Hurry and save thousands at Schofield Buick and GMC. Due to minor hail damage, find some of the best deals for the year on our entire inventory. From the impressive head-turning Buick lineup to the best trucks on the road with the Sierra and Canyon, and a great selection of totally redesigned 2015 Yukon and Denali's, now's the time to find the deal of the year, along with a customer experience of a lifetime.
So come on in. Take it for a spin and switch to Schofield Buick GMC.
And welcome back. Not a lot of time left. Let's just jump right back into the slides, and we'll go on to our next one and see what we have coming up. Fracking.
Yeah, hydraulic fracturing. It's been touted as a great way to produce more natural gas and so on. Generally, people oppose it. Heard a lot in the news about possible relationships, between that and more seismic activity, especially Oklahoma. Yep. And so there's a lot of concern about that.
Yeah, just this week, Oklahoma and Texas, the states both came out with some information pointing to not the fracking, but the disposal of the wastewater from fracking, which is kind of what we saw here in Kansas.
Absolutely.
Let's run to the next one. Okay, favor or oppose the following marijuana policies. This one's very interesting.
Yeah, and since Wichita had the ordinance come through, this has been, I've been paying a lot of attention to this, anticipating that there was going to be this showdown with Topeka, and the Attorney General certainly seems to be backing that up, but statewide seems to be very consistent with what the voters of Wichita said, which is they favor the liberalization of marijuana policies in the state.
Now, Brad, this one just stuns me, and the vote here in Wichita actually really surprised me, although I think I was the only person that was surprised because everybody on the show said they weren't surprised, but I was surprised. and then we see this, so maybe I'm the last person in the state that would anticipate this falling this way.
Yeah, I mean, when I was writing the Kansas Speaks questions, I particularly had Wichita in mind when I picked this decriminalization question. And I think it just goes to show that, times are changing, and, just slowly, marijuana is becoming, I guess, more acceptable throughout the country.
Yeah, apparently so. Let's go to our next graph. Medicaid.
And this is consistent with what we found with the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare. And it's been controversial here in the state with the failed attempt at compacts and so on. But Medicaid expansion is fairly popular with a 16% margin in favor of support for it.
In a very conservative state. That's kind of surprising as well. Do we have one more?
I believe we do.
Let's see.
I have two more.
Two more, okay. Kansas public school teacher. Okay, this one's very interesting too. You guys had some great ones here. Lewd, obscene, or otherwise inappropriate material as part of a class lesson, and this, of course, comes on the heels of the bill that would criminalize this if a teacher did this,
or would strip the protections from teachers who did do this. We've got to thank the legislature because they gave us so many different opportunities to test the waters here in Kansas.
For problems that maybe not exist.
Well, and the voters have spoken here with a 95%. That's a pretty clear mandate.
Well, and I'll say this is one of the dumber bills that I think we saw come out of the session this time, and everybody associated with it ought to be ashamed of themselves. Let's go to the next one. All right, legal protection.
From it. This is taking away that legal protection from teachers to present controversial material. Clearly, the voters think that teachers should have that protection. There's got to be a kind of safe opportunity to be able to present controversies to students.
And I will say again, I think we proved, and you guys can come off the graphic if you want to, we're going to wrap up. I think it proved what they tried to use to pass that thing proved that the system in place worked, and it was just a ridiculous piece of legislation, in my opinion. Guys, again, as always, really, really interesting stuff and great information. Let's remind our viewers you can do a Google search and find this very easily. That's how I found it. Get online, look this up, and read it, and share it with your friends.
FHSU.edu/docking is our page, and we're very happy to be part of this.
We are out of time. Thanks for being on, guys. And thanks for watching. Email me at thisweekinkansas@cake.com. Have a great week.
Spangles